Right now, your emotions are costing you your future. Every spike of anger, every dip into anxiety, and every flush of excitement is a leak in your power. Most people are slaves to their internal chemistry, reacting, flailing, and failing. But the elite operate from zero. In the next 90 minutes, I am going to strip away your addiction to feeling. I will teach you to reach the 0 point state, a place of absolute neutrality where the world's chaos cannot touch you. Stop reacting. Start executing. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Lie of Emotional Intelligence. The opening salvo. They lied to you. For decades, the self-help industry, the corporate seminars, and the HR departments have been selling you a concept called emotional intelligence. They call it EQ. They tell you that the key to success is understanding your feelings, processing them, and sharing them. They tell you that your emotions are a compass. They are wrong. Your emotions are not a compass. In a crisis, your emotions are a distraction. Listen to me closely. Emotion is a luxury you cannot afford. When you are at war, and make no mistake, if you are striving for greatness, you are at war. Feelings are heavy baggage. They slow you down. They cloud your vision. They introduce lag into your decision-making process. The modern world is obsessed with how you feel. The 0 point state is obsessed with what you do. The lie of emotional intelligence is that your feelings matter to the outcome. They don't. Gravity does not care if you are afraid of falling. The market does not care if you feel insecure about your product. The crisis does not care if you feel overwhelmed. The outcome is determined by physics, by strategy, and by execution. Most people believe that to be a leader, they must be in touch with their emotions. This is a weakness masquerading as a virtue. While they are busy processing their anger or unpacking their anxiety, the 0 point operator has already assessed the threat, calculated the solution, and executed the move. You have a choice. You can be emotionally intelligent or you can be effective. You rarely get to be both. The biological trap. Let's look at the biology. Why do you have emotions? They are evolutionary software designed for the Stone Age. Fear is there to make you run from a tiger. Anger is there to make you fight a rival for food. Anxiety is there to keep you alert in the dark. But you are not in the Stone Age. You are in a boardroom. You are in a negotiation. You are navigating a complex financial crisis. In these environments, your biological software is obsolete. When you feel disrespected in a meeting, your brain releases the same chemicals it would release if a predator were attacking you. Your pulse spikes, your vision narrows, your logic centers shut down to prioritize physical survival. This is the trap. It's not about survival, it's about strategy. When you indulge in emotional intelligence, you are giving this obsolete software permission to run your life. You are validating the glitch. You are saying, my anger is valid, let me explore it. No, your anger is data, and often it is bad data. The 0 point state demands that you look at your emotions the same way a pilot looks at a warning light on a dashboard. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you do not panic, and you certainly do not let the warning light fly the plane. You override the system. You bypass the feeling to access pure logic. That's the key. Bypassing, not suppressing, not hiding, bypassing. You step over the emotion to get to the decision. The real-world example, the billion-dollar insult. Let's apply this to the real world. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about power. Imagine two CEOs. Both are sitting across the table from a rival who is about to sign a merger deal worth $1 billion. This deal will secure their legacy and their family's wealth for generations. But the rival is arrogant. The rival is aggressive. Midway through the negotiation, the rival makes a snide comment. He insults the CEO's previous business failure. He attacks their competence. He calls them an amateur. CEO number one prides himself on his emotional intelligence. He feels the sting of the insult. He feels disrespected. He thinks, I don't have to take this. I need to set a boundary. I need to express my displeasure. His ego flares up. He talks back. He demands an apology. The atmosphere in the room shifts. The tension rises. The rival, seeing this emotional reaction, realizes he has control. He pushes harder. The deal falls apart. CEO number 1 walks away with his dignity intact, but his bank account empty. He lost because he prioritized his feelings over the objective. Now look at CEO number 2. He operates from the 0 point. The rival makes the same insult. He calls him an amateur. He attacks his competence. CEO number 2 feels the same biological spike, the heat in the chest, the tightening of the jaw, but he does not engage with it. He instantly categorizes the insult as irrelevant noise. He realizes that the rival is trying to provoke a reaction to get leverage. CEO number 2 looks at the rival dead in the eyes, completely blank. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't get angry. He simply waits 3 seconds and says, "Are we done posturing? Because the terms on page 4 need to be signed." The rival is stunned. His tactic failed. The emotional hook found no purchase. The power dynamic shifts instantly to the man with no reaction. The deal is signed. CEO number 2 walks away with $1 billion. It's not about respect, it's about revenue. It's not about feelings, it's about the finish line. CEO number 1 couldn't afford the insult. CEO number 2 realized that emotion is a luxury he cannot afford. The mechanics of the bypass. So, how do you do this? How do you turn off the noise? You must stop identifying with your feelings. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are the entity that watches the fear. When the crisis hits, most people fuse with their emotion. They become the anger. They scream. They send the text. They quit the job. They burn the bridge. They are puppets. To reach the 0 point, you must create a gap between the stimulus and the response. When the chaos arrives, you must mentally step back. Imagine you are floating 3 feet behind your own head, watching yourself on a screen. You see the crisis. You see your body wanting to react, and you issue a command: override. You force your brain to switch from the limbic system, the emotional center, to the prefrontal cortex, the logic center. You ask one question: what is the strategic move? If screaming makes the situation better, then scream. But 99% of the time, screaming creates more chaos. 99% of the time, the strategic move is silence, calculation, and action. You don't need their permission to be cold. You don't need their permission to be logical. People will call you robotic. They will call you unfeeling. Let them. While they are drowning in their drama, you will be navigating the ship to safety. They want you to join them in the mud of emotion because it validates their own lack of control. Do not take the bait. The discipline of 0. This is not easy. It is painful. Your ego wants to scream. Your ego wants to be right. Your ego wants to prove that you are important. You have to kill that desire. It's not about validation, it's about victory. True intelligence is the ability to look at a terrifying situation and feel nothing. To look at a massive failure and feel nothing. To look at a massive success and feel nothing. Why nothing? Because something is a bias. Something tilts the scale. If you are too happy, you get sloppy. If you are too sad, you get slow. 0 is the only place where the view is clear. You must train yourself to view your emotions as inefficiencies. Every time you get angry at traffic, you are leaking power. Every time you get sad about a rude comment, you are leaking power. Plug the leaks. Retain your energy for the things that actually move the needle. Closing transition. Stop trying to manage your emotions. Stop trying to understand them. Start ignoring them. They are children screaming in the back seat of your car. You are the driver. You do not turn the car around because the children are screaming. You keep your eyes on the road. You drive. You have now learned that your feelings are not facts. They are just biological noise. You have learned to bypass the glitch. But once you stop feeling, you are left with something else. You are left with the cold, hard reality of the situation. And usually, the situation is not what you think it is. Usually, the situation is a lie you've been telling yourself. You've killed the feeling. Now it's time to kill the story.
Chapter 2. Burn the narrative. The invisible enemy. You are drowning in a sea of your own fiction. You believe that your stress comes from your circumstances. You believe your anxiety comes from your bank balance, your relationship status, or the email your boss just sent you. You are convinced that the world is attacking you. You are wrong. The world is not attacking you. The world is simply happening. The pain you feel is not caused by the event itself. The pain is caused by the story you tell yourself about the event. We call this the narrative. And if you want to reach the 0-point state, you must burn the narrative to the ground. Human beings are addiction machines, but we aren't just addicted to chemicals or comfort. We're addicted to adjectives. We're addicted to drama. We refuse to see raw data. Instead, we wrap every single fact in a thick layer of emotional interpretation. It rains on your wedding day. Fact, water is falling from the sky. Narrative, my special day is ruined. The universe is against me. This is a bad omen. You lose a client. Fact, revenue has decreased by 10%. Narrative, I am a failure. The business is collapsing. I will never recover. Do you see the difference? The fact is manageable. The fact is neutral. The fact is just physics and math. But the narrative is a monster. The narrative creates suffering where only data exists. Stick to the data, kill the story. This is the fundamental discipline of the elite mind. The average person lives in a hallucination of their own making, reacting to ghosts and shadows. The 0-point operator lives in reality, and in reality, there are no good days or bad days. There are only days. There are only events. There is only data. The anatomy of a lie. Why do you do this? Why do you torture yourself with these stories? Because the narrative gives you an excuse. If you tell yourself the story that the system is rigged, you don't have to try. If you tell yourself the story that I'm just not good with people, you don't have to learn sales. If you tell yourself the story that this problem is insurmountable, you don't have to solve it. The narrative is a shield for your ego. It protects you from the responsibility of action. It allows you to play the victim. You have a choice. You can be the victim of your story or the master of your facts. When crisis hits, your brain will immediately try to write a tragedy. It will say, this is a disaster. You must catch that thought instantly. You must grab it by the throat and interrogate it. Is it a disaster, or is it just a change in variables? If a chess player loses a queen, they do not sweep the pieces off the board and cry about how unfair life is. They do not write a poem about the loss. They look at the board. They analyze the remaining pieces. They calculate the next move. They stick to the data. To them, the loss of the queen is not a tragedy. It is a new constraint, and constraints drive strategy. It's not about the loss. It's about the logic. The real-world example. Fired versus free. Let's look at the ultimate modern nightmare. Getting fired. Two men work at the same company. They have the same job, the same salary, and the same expenses. On Tuesday at 10 a.m., both men are called into HR and told that their position has been terminated. They are given a box for their things and escorted out of the building. Man number one is trapped in the narrative. As he walks to his car, his internal monologue is screaming, I can't believe they did this to me. After all I sacrificed, I'm worthless. How will I tell my wife? I'm a loser. The economy is terrible. I'll never find another job. We're going to lose the house. My life is over. Look at the adjectives. Worthless, terrible, over. Look at the story. Betrayal, ruin, hopelessness. By the time he gets home, he is paralyzed. He is chemically flooded with cortisol. He drinks to numb the pain. He sleeps in the next day. He avoids his network because he is ashamed. He spirals into depression. The narrative has destroyed him, not the job loss. Now look at man number 2. He operates from the 0 point. He walks to his car. He feels the shock, but he activates the bypass. He strips the adjectives. He looks at the facts. Fact: the monthly income from company A has ceased. Fact: I have $15,000 in savings. Fact: I am skilled in project management. Fact: I am now free to pursue other contracts. He does not say, I am a failure. He says, I am currently unemployed. He does not say, my life is over. He says, my schedule is now open. Stick to the data, kill the story.
Because he killed the story, he has no shame. He goes home, opens his laptop, and immediately updates his profile. He calls 10 contacts. He tells them, I am available for immediate work. He sounds confident, not desperate, because he isn't carrying the weight of a tragedy. Within 2 weeks, man number 1 is still crying on his couch. Man number 2 has secured a consulting gig that pays more than his old salary. Same event, different outcome. That's the key. The event did not determine the future. The reaction to the event determined the future. Man number 1 was crushed by a story he invented. Man number 2 used the data to build a new strategy. The red pen protocol. How do you break this habit? You need to become an editor. You need to take a red pen to your own thoughts. From this moment on, I want you to audit your internal monologue. Every time you face a problem, write it down. Then look for the adjectives. Look for the emotional descriptors. My ungrateful child is ruining my peace of mind. Cross it out. Data: my child is shouting. My greedy landlord hiked the rent and is trying to squeeze me. Cross it out. Data: the rent has increased by $200. I made a stupid mistake and humiliated myself in the presentation. Cross it out. Data: I misquoted a statistic on slide 4. Do you feel the difference? The narrative carries weight. It carries heat. It makes you feel heavy and defensive. The data is cold. It is light. It is manageable. You cannot solve ungrateful. You can solve shouting. You cannot solve greedy. You can budget for $200. You cannot solve humiliation. You can correct slide 4. When you strip the story, you reveal the mechanics of the problem, and once you see the mechanics, you can fix it. You don't need their permission to rewrite the script. You don't need the world to be nice to you. You just need to see the world clearly. The anxiety of the future. This doesn't just apply to the past, it applies to the future. We call future narratives anxiety. Anxiety is nothing more than writing a horror story about things that haven't happened yet. You sit there, paralyzed, imagining the bankruptcy, imagining the divorce, imagining the illness. You are suffering in advance. You are paying interest on a debt you haven't even taken out. Stick to the data. Kill the story. Does the data support the panic, or are you just creative? Most people use their imagination to torture themselves. They visualize every possible failure. The 0-point operator refuses to simulate failure. If there is a risk, you calculate it, you mitigate it, you prepare for it, but you do not tell yourself a ghost story about it. What if I fail? That is a narrative. What are the steps required to succeed? That is data. Stop predicting, start preparing. The discipline of objectivity. This is the hardest work you will ever do. Your brain loves the drama. Your brain loves the high of righteousness. It feels good to be the victim. It feels good to be angry. It feels good to say it's not fair. But you are not here to feel good. You are here to win. It's not about justice, it's about geometry. You are moving pieces through space and time. That is all. If you want to lead, if you want to dominate, you must become a cold-blooded observer of your own life. You must become a scientist of your own existence. A scientist does not cry when the experiment fails. A scientist records the result, adjusts the variable, and runs the test again. Be the scientist. Closing transition. When you burn the narrative, you stop leaking energy. Think about how much tired you are at the end of the day. How much of that fatigue is physical, and how much of it is emotional exhaustion from carrying around these heavy, tragic stories all day. Man number one, the guy who got fired and told himself a tragedy, is exhausted. He is drained. Man number two, the guy who looked at the data, is energized. He is ready to hunt. When you kill the story, you reclaim your power. You reclaim your energy. You stop fighting ghosts and start fighting reality. But now that you have stopped the leak, now that you have reclaimed this massive amount of mental energy, what do you do with it? You don't just hold it. You must understand the laws of how to spend it. You need to understand the physics of your own mind.
Chapter 3. The Physics of Neutrality. The Energy Audit. You are bankrupt, not financially, but energetically. You wake up every morning with a full tank of mental fuel. This is your cognitive capacity. It is the raw power you need to solve problems, make decisions, and execute your vision. It is finite. It is limited. And by 10 a.m., most of you have already wasted half of it. You treat your energy like it is an infinite resource. You throw it away on road rage. You burn it on petty arguments. You waste it worrying about headlines you cannot control. You spill it on excitement over a project that hasn't even launched yet. By the time the real crisis hits, by the time the death zone arrives, you are running on fumes. And then you wonder why you crash. You wonder why you burn out. Neutrality is efficiency. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Think of your mind like a high-performance engine. When you are emotional, whether that emotion is screaming rage or ecstatic joy, you are redlining that engine. You are pushing the RPMs into the red. You are burning fuel at a catastrophic rate to go nowhere. When you are in the zero-point state, you are idling. You are cruising. You are conserving every drop of fuel for the moment you need to overtake the competition. You have a choice. You can spend your day revving your engine at every stoplight, making a lot of noise and wasting your fuel. Or you can drive with precision. The amateur believes that passion and intensity drive success. They think they need to be fired up to win. They are wrong. Passion is expensive. Intensity without direction is just waste. It's not about intensity. It's about endurance. The death zone. Let's look at the ultimate test of human endurance. Let's look at high-altitude mountaineering. Above 8,000 meters, roughly 26,000 feet, climbers enter what is known as the death zone. At this altitude, the oxygen levels are so low that human life is not sustainable. Your body literally begins to die. Every second you spend there is a countdown. In the death zone, oxygen is currency. It is the only thing that matters. Now, imagine two climbers are trapped in a storm at 28,000 feet. Climber number one panics. He realizes he is lost. Fear grips him. His heart rate spikes to 160 beats per minute. He starts breathing shallow and fast. He starts thinking about his family, about death, about the unfairness of the storm. He starts rushing, trying to force his way down the mountain. He is burning his currency. His high-frequency emotion, panic, is consuming his oxygen at double the normal rate. His muscles fill with lactic acid. His brain, starved of oxygen, begins to hallucinate. He collapses. He dies. He didn't die because of the storm. He died because he was inefficient. Climber number two is a zero-point operator. He realizes he is lost. The storm is screaming around him. He feels the fear, but he activates the bypass. He knows that a heart rate of 160 is a death sentence. He deliberately slows his breathing. He forces his mind into a state of absolute robotic neutrality. He moves with agonizing slowness. One step, breathe. One step, breathe. He does not think about the summit. He does not think about his family. He does not think about the fear. He becomes a machine. He reduces his mental and physical output to the absolute minimum required to survive. Neutrality is efficiency. Because he remains neutral, he conserves his oxygen. Because he conserves his oxygen, his brain stays clear. Because his brain stays clear, he finds the route markers that the panicked climber missed. He survives. That's the key. The mountain didn't kill the first climber. His own biology killed him. The corporate death zone. You may not be on Mount Everest, but you are in a death zone of your own. The modern marketplace is a high-pressure environment. The stakes are your livelihood, your reputation, and your future. Every day you are bombarded with threats. When you lose a major investor, that is an oxygen leak. When your supply chain collapses, that is a storm. When your team quits, that is an avalanche. If you react to these events with high-frequency emotion, if you scream, if you cry, if you panic, you are increasing your metabolic burn rate. You are making yourself stupid when you need to be smart.
Have you ever tried to solve a complex math problem while someone is screaming in your ear? That is what you are doing to yourself when you panic. You are creating internal noise that blocks the solution. The zero-point leader treats a business crisis exactly like the climber treats the storm. They slow down, they get quiet, they drop their heart rate. They do not run around the office putting out fires with frantic energy. They sit in their chair, stare at the wall, and think. They know that neutrality is efficiency. One calculated decision made in silence is worth 1,000 frantic emails sent in a panic. The myth of positive energy. Now, here is the shocking truth that most self-help gurus won't tell you. Positive energy is just as dangerous as negative energy. You have been told to be excited, passionate, and hyped. But look at the physics. Excitement is a high arousal state. It burns dopamine. It burns glucose. It spikes your cortisol. If you get euphoric because you had a good sales call at 9 a.m., you have burned the fuel you needed for the negotiation at 2 p.m. You have created a peak, which means you have guaranteed a crash. The zero-point state is not positive, it is not negative, it is neutral. Neutrality is sustainable. You can stay neutral for 40 years. You cannot stay excited for 40 minutes without paying a price. You have a choice. You can ride the roller coaster of highs and lows, vomiting your energy all over the track, or you can get off the ride and walk the straight line to the destination. It's not about hype, it's about hydraulics, it's about pressure management. The conservation protocol. How do you apply this? You must become a miser with your energy. You must hoard it like gold. Stop giving your energy to things that cannot pay you back. When you scroll through social media and get angry at a stranger's political post, you are writing a check you cannot cash. You are throwing fuel on a fire that isn't yours. Stop it. When you sit in a meeting and get frustrated by a coworker's incompetence, engaging in a mental argument with them, you are burning oxygen. Stop it. When you replay a mistake you made 5 years ago, beating yourself up, you are leaking the fuel you need for today. Stop it. Every time you feel an emotion rising, ask yourself, is this emotion moving the payload? If the answer is no, kill it. Return to zero. Neutrality is efficiency. This applies to your speech as well. Have you noticed that powerful people speak less? They speak slower. They speak lower. Weak people talk fast. They talk loud. They interrupt. They are leaking energy. They are desperate to prove they exist. The zero-point operator speaks only when necessary. They conserve their words because words are energy. When they speak, it lands like a hammer because there is weight behind it. You don't need their permission to be quiet. You don't need their permission to be slow. In a world that is addicted to speed, the person who can slow down time is the master. The strategic reserve. Why do we do this? Why do we conserve? So that when the real opportunity comes, the one-in-a-lifetime shot or the life-or-death crisis, you have a full tank. While your competitors are burnt out, exhausted, and emotionally fried by noon, you are sitting at full capacity. You have a strategic reserve. When the market crashes, they will panic because they are empty. You will strike because you are full. You will have the mental bandwidth to see the opportunity that is hidden in the chaos. This is the unfair advantage. It is not IQ, it is not talent, it is energy management. That's the key. The winner is not the one who runs the fastest. The winner is the one who has oxygen left in their lungs at the top of the mountain. Closing transition. You understand the physics now. You understand that every emotion is a tax on your future success. You are committed to stopping the leaks. You are committed to efficiency. But there is one specific leak that drains more energy than anything else. It is a silent killer. It is the obsession with the past. It is the desperate need for other people to acknowledge your pain. You are waiting for an apology that will never come. You are waiting for an explanation that doesn't exist, and while you wait, you bleed. You need to seal this wound forever.
Chapter 4. Kill the need for closure. The open loop. There is a disease that infects the modern mind. It is a disease of dependency. It is the belief that a story cannot end until the other person says it is over. You call this closure. You tell yourself, I can't move on until I understand why they did it. You tell yourself, I need to hear them apologize so I can heal. You tell yourself, I need one last conversation to make sense of this. You are lying to yourself, and worse, you are submitting. Closure is a trap for the weak. When you demand closure, you are handing the remote control of your brain to the person who hurt you. You are standing outside their door, hat in hand, begging for a key to unlock your own cuffs. You are saying, I am not powerful enough to define my own reality. Please, define it for me. Stop begging. Stop waiting. The 0-point state does not require cooperation from the enemy. It does not require an explanation from the traitor. It requires only one thing, your decision to sever the limb. You have a choice. You can spend the next 5 years analyzing the wreckage, looking for a black box that isn't there, or you can walk away from the crash site and never look back. The submission of why. The most dangerous word in the human language is why. In a crisis, why is poison. Why did the market crash? Why did my partner steal the clients? Why did she leave? You ask why because you believe that if you find the answer, the pain will stop. You believe that there is a logical reason that will satisfy your soul. That's the key. There is no answer that will satisfy you. If the business partner who betrayed you sits down and gives you a 10-point list of reasons why he stole your money, will that return the money? No. If the person who broke your heart tells you exactly why they fell out of love, will that unbreak your heart? No. The information changes nothing. The event has already happened. The fact is absolute. The why is just a story. When you ask why, you are looking backwards. You are digging in the graveyard. The 0-point operator never asks why. They ask what. What is the damage? What assets are left? What is the next move? Why keeps you trapped in the past? What launches you into the future? It's not about understanding, it's about accepting. The real-world example, the dissolution. Let's look at how this plays out in business. 2 founders built a tech company. For 5 years, they were brothers in arms. Then, one morning, founder A wakes up to find that founder B has drained the operating account, stolen the proprietary code, and launched a competitor. It is a catastrophic betrayal. Founder A falls into the closure trap. He is in shock. He spends weeks trying to contact founder B. He sends long emails asking, "How could you do this? We were friends. I need to understand what happened." He is obsessed with the betrayal.
He holds meetings with his staff where they just talk about the injustice of it all. He hires a lawyer, not to win, but to force the other guy to answer for his sins. He is looking for moral vindication. 6 months later, Founder A is bankrupt. He was so busy looking for an apology that he forgot to save the ship. Founder B, the traitor, didn't care about closure. He cared about execution. Now look at a 0-point operator in the same position. Let's call him the architect. The architect wakes up. He sees the money is gone. He sees the code is stolen. He feels the shock. He feels the rage, but he bypasses it. He knows that the bridge is burned. He assumes the friendship never existed. He deletes the traitor's number from his phone. He immediately locks the remaining accounts. He calls the key clients to secure their loyalty. He pivots the product roadmap to render the stolen code obsolete. He treats the betrayal like a natural disaster, an earthquake or a flood. You don't ask an earthquake, "Why did you destroy my house?" You just rebuild. Closure is a trap for the weak. The architect survives. He thrives, not because he didn't hurt, but because he didn't wait. The power of indifference. You think you need the last word. You think you need to set the record straight. This is your ego screaming for validation. You want to prove to them that they were wrong. You want them to feel guilty. Listen to me. You don't need their permission to be right. You don't need their guilt to be free. The ultimate power is not winning the argument. The ultimate power is indifference.
When you seek closure, you are telling the other person that they are still important. You are telling them that they still have the power to disturb your peace. You are feeding them your energy. When you walk away without a word, without a question, without a backward glance, you destroy them. You turn them into a ghost. You render them irrelevant. It's not about vengeance, it's about vacancy. You are evicting them from your mind. The internal gavel. So, how do you close the loop if they won't? You must become the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your own past. You must slam the gavel yourself. You are waiting for a conversation that will never happen, so have the conversation with yourself. Look in the mirror. State the facts. They stole from me. It is over. I am moving on. Bang the gavel. Case closed. This requires a level of ruthlessness that most people do not possess. Most people love their wounds. They pet their wounds. They keep them open because the pain gives them an identity. I am the person who was betrayed. Drop that identity. It is heavy. It is useless. You have a choice. You can be a victim with a sad story, or you can be a victor with a scar. The scar means it healed. The scar means you survived. The scar means the skin is tougher there now. But the wound means you are still bleeding. Stop bleeding. Stitch it up yourself. Closure is a trap for the weak. The unsent letter. Here is a practical exercise for the 0-point mind. If you are haunted by a lack of closure, if your brain keeps looping on an argument you never finished, write it down. Write the letter. Scream on the page. Use all the adjectives. Accuse them. Blame them. Let the toxicity flow out of your pen. And then burn the paper. Do not send it. Do not save it. Burn it. Watch it turn to ash. The act of writing extracts the poison from your system. The act of burning it signals to your brain that the matter is concluded. Sending it is a request for validation. Burning it is a declaration of independence. You don't need their permission to heal. The ash is the only closure you get. The ash is the only closure you need. The cost of looking back. Remember the story of Lot's wife. She looked back at the burning city and she turned into a pillar of salt.
She froze. She became a statue. She died because she couldn't let go of the past. That is you every time you check their social media. That is you every time you reread old texts. That is you every time you ask a mutual friend how they are doing. You are turning into salt. You are calcifying. The 0-point state is absolute forward motion. There is no rear-view mirror in a fighter jet. There is only the horizon and the target. If you are looking backward, you are not looking at the target. And if you are not looking at the target, you will miss. That's the key. Focus is a vector. It has direction. You cannot focus forward and backward at the same time. Closing transition. You have now stopped the emotional bleeding. You have stopped waiting for apologies that will never come. You have slammed the gavel. You are standing in the wreckage of the past, but you are looking at the future. You are silent. You are calm. You are ready. But there is a specific weapon you must now master. You have stopped asking questions. Now you must learn to stop giving answers. You have learned to stop seeking noise. Now you must become the void. Most people talk to fill the space. You will use the space to suffocate your enemies.
Chapter 5. Tactical Silence. The open mouth is a bleeding wound. You talk too much. You talk because you are nervous. You talk because you are uncomfortable. You talk because you think that if you keep making noise, you can control the situation. You are wrong. Every word that leaves your mouth is a leak. It is a leak of information. It is a leak of strategy. And most importantly, it is a leak of status. In the animal kingdom, the alpha does not scream. The alpha watches. The prey screams. The prey creates noise to signal fear or to beg for mercy. When you chatter, when you explain yourself, when you rush to fill the silence, you are signaling to the room that you are prey. Speak only to move the board. This is the discipline of the 0-point state. We treat words like bullets. You have a limited supply. Do not spray them into the air hoping to hit something. Aim, fire, and then lower the weapon. Most people use speech as a crutch. They use it to soothe their own anxiety. They feel the tension in the room and they think, I must say something to make this okay. You have a choice. You can be the person who breaks the tension and loses the power, or you can be the person who holds the tension and commands the room. The vacuum principle. Why is silence so terrifying? Because silence creates a vacuum. Human beings are social creatures. We are wired to connect. When conversation stops, our biological alarms go off. We feel awkward. We feel disconnected. We feel a desperate urge to bridge the gap. This is the vacuum principle. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human ego. When you go silent, you create a void in the room. The person across from you feels that void. They feel the pressure of it. It sits on their chest. And because they are not trained in the 0-point state, they will do anything to remove that pressure. They will talk. And when people talk to fill a vacuum, they tell the truth. They reveal their hand. They offer concessions. They bid against themselves. That's the key. You do not need to interrogate your opponent. You simply need to shut up and let them interrogate themselves. You are using their own biology against them. You are using their need for comfort to extract value. The real-world example, the negotiation. Imagine you are sitting across from a supplier. You need them to lower their price by 15%. The amateur negotiator sits down. He is nervous. He starts talking. Hi, thanks for coming. Look, we really like your product, but the budget is tight this year, and my boss is really pressuring me, so I was hoping maybe we could work something out. I mean, we really value the partnership, but… He is rambling. He is explaining. He is giving away all his leverage. He has told the supplier that he needs the product, we really like it, and that he is weak. My boss is pressuring me. He has handed them the blueprint to defeat him. Now, watch the 0-point negotiator. He sits down, he places a single sheet of paper on the table, he looks the supplier in the eye, he says, "Your price is 15% too high. What can you do?" And then he stops. He leans back. He does not smile. He does not fidget. He enters the 0-point state. The silence hits the room like a hammer. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. The supplier feels the vacuum. The supplier gets nervous. The supplier thinks, he's not happy, he's going to walk away, I'm losing the deal. The supplier cracks. "Well, I mean, we do have some wiggle room on the logistics fees. I could maybe do 10%? The 0-point negotiator does not answer immediately. He waits another 3 seconds. He lets the silence bite deeper. The supplier speaks again. "Okay, look, if we sign today, I can do the full 15%. Speak only to move the board." The 0-point negotiator spoke 10 words. The amateur spoke 100. The amateur got nothing. The 0-point negotiator got the deal. Why? Because he wasn't afraid of the void. He used the silence as a weapon. The anatomy of over-explanation. Why do you explain yourself? "I can't come to the party because my car broke down and I have a headache, and I didn't finish the report because the data was late and I didn't get the email, and—" Stop it. You are seeking validation. You want them to say, "It's okay, I understand, you're a good person." You don't need their permission to say no. You don't need their permission to fail. You don't need their permission to exist. When you over-explain, you dilute your authority. You sound guilty.
The 0-point response is, "I can't make it." The 0-point response is, "The report is late. It will be on your desk at 9 a.m. No excuses, no stories, just facts. It's not about politeness, it's about power. When you strip away the justifications, you force people to deal with you as you are. You force them to respect your no. The 3-second rule. How do you train this? You are addicted to noise, so we must break the addiction with a drill. I want you to implement the 3-second rule. From this moment on, whenever someone asks you a question, especially a difficult or aggressive one, do not answer immediately. Count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. Then speak. During those 3 seconds, 2 things will happen. First, your initial emotional reaction, the defensive snap, the angry retort, the nervous laugh, will die. You will bypass the glitch. Second, the other person will feel the weight of your silence. They will wonder what you are thinking. They will begin to doubt themselves. You are seizing control of the tempo. Most people play conversational ping pong. Ball comes over, they hit it back instantly, snap, snap, snap. It's a reflex. The 0-point operator catches the ball, holds it, looks at it, and then decides whether to throw it back or drop it on the floor. Speak only to move the board. If the ball doesn't need to be hit, don't hit it. The sound of authority. Have you ever noticed that the most powerful person in the room is usually the quietest? The junior employees are chattering, the middle managers are debating, the CEO is sitting at the head of the table, listening. The CEO knows that information flows up. The person talking is the person reporting. The person listening is the person judging. When you talk, you are the performer. When you are silent, you are the audience. The audience holds the power. The audience decides if the show is good. Do not perform, judge. You have a choice. You can be the clown dancing for approval, or you can be the king watching the show. The discipline of mystery. There is a strategic advantage to being unreadable. If you tell people everything you are thinking, they can predict your next move. If they can predict your next move, they can trap you. I'm really worried about this quarter. Now your competitors know you are vulnerable. I'm planning to buy that property. Now the seller knows to raise the price. Silence creates a fog of war. When you don't speak, they don't know your position. They don't know your strategy. They don't know your fears. This terrifies them. People fear the unknown. If you remain a blank slate, they will project their own fears onto you. They will assume you are smarter than you are. They will assume you are stronger than you are. Let them assume. Speak only to move the board. If a sentence does not advance your position, swallow it. It might taste bitter, you might have a great point you want to make, you might have a funny joke you want to tell. Kill it. The dopamine hit of being right or being funny is not worth the loss of strategic concealment. The echo chamber. Finally, realize that silence allows you to hear the truth. When you are talking, you are only repeating what you already know. You cannot learn while your mouth is open. When you are silent, you hear the hesitation in their voice. You hear the lie. You hear the fear. You hear what they aren't saying. The 0-point state is a data collection state. You are a radar dish. If you are broadcasting noise, you cannot receive the signal. Shut down the transmitter. Turn up the receiver. Closing transition. You have learned to kill the narrative. You have learned to conserve your energy. And now you have learned to wield the weapon of silence. You are becoming a ghost. You are becoming efficient. You are becoming dangerous. But as you master this cold, neutral state, you will face a new temptation. It is the most seductive trap of them all. It isn't fear. It isn't anger. It is the rush of the win. It is the dopamine spike of success. It is the feeling of invincibility that comes right before the fall. You think happiness is safe? You are wrong. Happiness makes you blind.
Chapter 6. The Danger of Excitement. The Trojan Horse of Happiness. You have been trained to avoid sadness. You have been trained to manage your anger. But you have been completely brainwashed to chase excitement. You think excitement is the goal. You think the purpose of winning is to feel that rush, that high, that surge of dopamine that makes you feel like a god. You are wrong. Excitement is not the goal. Excitement is a Trojan horse. It enters your mind disguised as a reward, but once inside, it destroys your judgment just as effectively as panic. Excitement is a distraction. Think about the last time you were truly, blindingly excited. Maybe you closed a big deal. Maybe you met a new romantic partner. Maybe you hit a financial milestone. In that moment, were you rational? Were you calculating risk? Were you looking for the hidden traps? No. You were drunk. You were drunk on your own chemistry, and while you were drunk, you became vulnerable. The 0-point state recognizes that good feelings are just as dangerous as bad feelings. Both are high arousal states. Both spike your heart rate. Both shut down the logical centers of your brain. When you are excited, you overlook details. You overestimate your abilities. You agree to terms you shouldn't agree to. You promise things you cannot deliver. You have a choice. You can be an addict chasing the next high, or you can be a professional executing the plan. The addict crashes. The professional persists. The lottery winner effect. Let's look at the most extreme example of this failure, the lottery winner. We have all read the stories. A mechanic in Ohio wins $50 million. He is ecstatic. He is euphoric. He believes his life is solved. He is in a state of permanent excitement. What happens next? Within 3 years, he is bankrupt. He's divorced. He is worse off than he was before he won. Why? Because he made decisions while he was high. In his excitement, he bought 3 houses he couldn't maintain. In his excitement, he invested in his cousin's terrible business idea without doing due diligence. In his excitement, he gave away millions to friends who didn't respect him. He lost his baseline. He lost the 0 point. The money didn't ruin him. The excitement ruined him. The euphoria convinced him that the laws of math no longer applied to him. It convinced him that he was invincible. Excitement is a distraction.
If he had received that 50 million and felt nothing, if he had remained at zero, he would still be rich today. He would have looked at the money as a logistical challenge, not a party. He would have hired a tax attorney, locked the funds in a trust, and continued his life with precision. But he couldn't do that. He wanted the feeling, and the feeling cost him everything. That's the key. The feeling is the tax. If you indulge in the feeling, you pay the tax, and the tax is often 100% of your gains. The sales trap. This happens in your business every single day. You are negotiating a contract. The client says, yes. Your brain lights up. I did it. I won. You feel the rush. In that moment of excitement, you stop negotiating. You stop looking for leverage. You're so happy to have the yes that you rush to sign the paper. You miss the clause on page 5 that locks you into a bad delivery schedule. You forget to ask for the 20% down payment. You leave money on the table because you just want to celebrate the win. The 0-point operator hears the yes and feels nothing. The client says, we want to move forward. The 0-point operator says, good, let's review the liability terms before we draft the signature page. He kills the excitement. He stays in the trenches. He knows that the deal isn't done until the money is in the bank, and even then, the work is just beginning. Excitement is a distraction. Every time you celebrate before the war is over, you are lowering your shield. You are taking off your armor to pop a bottle of champagne while the enemy is still aiming at your head. It's not about pessimism, it's about precision. Pessimism says it will go wrong. Optimism says it will go right. 0-point says, I am looking at the facts.
The dopamine detox. You need to understand the biology of what is happening. Excitement is a dopamine spike. What goes up must come down. That is the law of gravity, and it is the law of neurochemistry. If you allow yourself to spike to a level 10 of happiness on Tuesday, you are chemically guaranteeing a crash to a level 1 of depression on Thursday. The brain must balance the equation. This is why you feel empty after a big achievement. You hit the goal, you felt the rush, and now you feel hollow. You feel burned out. The 0-point operator flattens the curve. They don't go to 10, they stay at 5. When they win, they stay at 5. When they lose, they stay at 5. Because they never spike, they never crash. They have infinite consistency. You don't need their permission to not celebrate. People will say, why aren't you happy? You just made $1 million. They will think you are weird. They will think you are broken. Let them. They are riding a roller coaster. They are vomiting on the loops. You are driving a train. The train does not do loops. The train goes forward. The 24-hour rule. How do you implement this? You need a protocol for good news. I want you to use the 24-hour rule. When something amazing happens, you get the promotion, you meet the girl, you win the lawsuit, you are not allowed to make any new decisions for 24 hours. You acknowledge the win, you say, good, and then you freeze. You do not call your mom to brag, you do not post it on Instagram, you do not buy the watch. You wait. You let the dopamine flush out of your system. You let your heart rate return to baseline. The next morning, you look at the win with cold, sober eyes. Now, what does this win actually mean? Does it create new responsibilities? Does it create new taxes? Does it create new enemies? Usually, a win is just a new set of problems disguised as a trophy. Excitement is a distraction. It hides the problems. The 24-hour rule reveals them. The danger of hope. We need to address the cousin of excitement, hope. Hope is just excitement for a future that hasn't happened yet. I hope this works out. I hope they like me. Hope is passive. Hope is gambling. Hope is the surrender of agency. The 0-point operator does not hope. They calculate probability. If you are hoping for a result, it means you haven't done enough work to guarantee it. It means you are relying on luck.
Kill hope. Replace it with strategy. Don't hope you hit the target. Build a better aiming system. Don't hope you get the job. Build a better resume. It's not about luck. It's about logistics. The sobriety of success. True success is boring. I will say that again. True success is boring. It is repetitive. It is routine. It is unglamorous. The billionaire is not popping bottles every day. The billionaire is reading reports. The billionaire is making phone calls. The billionaire is sitting in meetings. If you are addicted to excitement, you will sabotage your own success just to feel something. You will create drama because peace feels boring. You will break things just to fix them. You see this in relationships all the time. The couple is stable, secure, and boring, so one partner cheats or starts a fight just to feel the rush of the makeup sex or the drama of the argument. They destroy the foundation because they are addicted to the earthquake. Do not be that person. Embrace the boredom. Embrace the flat line. The flat line is where the work gets done. Excitement is a distraction. Closing transition. You have stripped away the good emotions. You have stripped away the bad emotions. You are standing in the center. You are sober. You are awake. But there is still a problem. You have controlled your mind, but you are living inside an animal. You are living inside a body that has its own agenda. Your heart still races, your palms still sweat, your stomach still churns. You can tell your mind to be quiet, but your biology screams. You need to learn to dissociate from the meat suit. You need to learn to pilot the machine without becoming the machine. Chapter 7. De-escalation of the self. The biological traitor. You are currently trapped inside a traitor. You have spent years training your mind. You have read the books. You have learned the strategies. You understand logic. But you are operating a machine, your physical body, that does not care about your logic. This machine was designed for one purpose: to keep you from being eaten by a wolf. It is wired for survival, not for success. And in the modern world, this survival instinct is the single greatest threat to your performance. You know the feeling. You are walking into a high-stakes meeting. Your mind is ready. Your pitch is perfect. But suddenly, your palms are sweating. Your heart is hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. Your stomach turns over. Your voice shakes. Your body is betraying you. It is screaming, "Danger," when there is no danger. It is flooding your system with adrenaline when you need ice water. Most people surrender to this feeling. They feel the heart rate spike and they think, "I am nervous." They think, "I am afraid." That's the key. You are making a critical error in language. You are saying, "I." You are not your heart rate. You are not your sweating palms. You are not the knot in your stomach. Those are mechanical functions of the meat suit you are wearing. The zero-point operator learns to treat these symptoms exactly like a check engine light on a dashboard. When the light blinks, you don't scream. You don't crash the car. You note the signal, you adjust, and you keep driving. Observe, but do not occupy. The pilot and the plane. Let's look at the elite level of this dissociation. Let's look at a fighter pilot. A fighter pilot in a dogfight is under maximum biological stress. G-forces are crushing his chest. A missile lock warning is screaming in his ear. An enemy is trying to kill him. If a normal person were strapped into that cockpit, their heart rate would be 200 beats per minute. They would hyperventilate. They would pass out. They would die. But hook a heart rate monitor to an elite pilot, and you will see something impossible. His heart rate is 60. Maybe 70. Is he human? Yes. Does he have adrenaline? Yes. But he has mastered the de-escalation of the self. He does not identify with the danger. He views the plane as an extension of his will, but separate from his being. He views his own body as just another gauge in the cockpit. If his breathing gets too fast, he doesn't think, "I am panicking." He thinks, "Oxygen intake is inefficient, correcting now." He manually slows his lungs. He treats his biology like a hydraulic system that needs to be regulated. You have a choice. You can be the passenger in your own body, screaming while the vehicle spins out of control, or you can be the pilot. The pilot observes the warning light. He does not become the warning light. Observe, but do not occupy. The dissociation protocol. How do you achieve this? How do you separate the self from the symptom? You must change your internal grammar. From this moment on, you are forbidden from saying, "I am anxious." "I am" is an identity statement. It fuses you with the emotion. It makes the anxiety who you are. Instead, you will say, "I am noticing a sensation of tightness in the chest." You will say, "I am observing a rapid heartbeat." You will say, "My stomach is signaling discomfort." Do you hear the difference? It is clinical. It is cold. It creates distance. "I am anxious" is a helpless victim. "I am observing a sensation" is a scientist looking at a petri dish. When you label the physical sensation as an external object, you strip it of its power. You turn a monster into a mouse. It's not about courage, it's about categorization. Fear is just chemistry. It is cortisol and adrenaline dumping into your blood. That is all. It is not a prophecy. It is not a sign from the universe that you are going to fail. It is just a chemical reaction.
If you spill coffee on your shirt, you don't become the coffee, you just have a stain. If your body dumps adrenaline, you don't become the fear, you just have a chemical stain. Observe, but do not occupy. The scanning drill. When the crisis hits, when the client yells, when the market crashes, your body will flare up. This is unavoidable. You are an animal. But the zero-point response is immediate de-escalation. You run the scan. Start at the feet. Are your toes clenched? Release them. Move to the legs. Are your thighs tight? Release them. Move to the stomach. Is it knotted? Breathe into it. Move to the shoulders. Are they up by your ears? Drop them. Move to the jaw. Is it clenched? Unhinge it. This takes 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, you are manually overriding the biological alarm. You are telling your nervous system, "Stand down. I am in command." Most people live their entire lives with their jaws clenched and their shoulders tight, perpetually ready for a fight that never comes. They are burning energy holding tension that serves no purpose. You don't need their permission to relax. You don't need their permission to breathe. The world wants you tense. The world wants you reactive. A tense person is easy to manipulate. A relaxed person is dangerous. A relaxed person is thinking. The illusion of intuition. A warning. Many of you mistake this biological noise for intuition. You think, "I have a bad feeling about this deal." Is it a bad feeling based on data? Or is it just that you are hungry, tired, and intimidated by the guy in the suit? Most of what you call gut instinct is just indigestion and insecurity. If you cannot verify the feeling with facts, it is biological noise. The zero-point operator does not trust the gut. The zero-point operator trusts the data. If the numbers are good, but you feel scared, do the deal. If the numbers are bad, but you feel excited, kill the deal. That's the key. Your body is often wrong. Your body wants to run away from public speaking because it thinks the audience is a pack of hyenas. Your body is stupid. Do not listen to the animal, command the animal. Observe, but do not occupy. The temperature of authority. There is a contagious quality to biological states. If you walk into a room and you are vibrating with stress, your eyes darting, your breath shallow, you infect the room. You make everyone else nervous. And nervous people do not sign contracts. Nervous people do not follow leaders. But if you walk into a room with a heart rate of 60, if you move slowly, if you breathe deeply, you infect the room with calm. This is what we call presence. Presence is simply the absence of biological noise. When you de-escalate yourself, you de-escalate the room. You become the anchor. In a storm, everyone grabs on to the anchor. You have a choice: be the storm or be the anchor. If you cannot control your own pulse, you certainly cannot control a corporation. If you cannot master your own breath, you cannot master a market. It's not about charisma, it's about calibration. The witness. Ultimately, this comes down to one spiritual truth. You are the witness. You are the consciousness behind the eyes. You are not the eyes. You are the listener behind the ears. You are not the ears. When pain comes, you watch it. Ah, there is pain. When panic comes, you watch it. Ah, there is panic. You do not invite them in for tea. You do not let them sleep in your bed. You watch them pass by like cars on a highway. If you chase the car, you get hit. If you stand on the sidewalk and watch, you are safe. Observe, but do not occupy. This is the ultimate freedom. It means that no matter what is happening to your body, pain, hunger, fatigue, fear, your mind remains untouched. Your mind remains at zero. You can be exhausted and still make a perfect decision. You can be terrified and still take the perfect shot. The body shakes, the hand aims. Closing transition. You have learned to separate the pilot from the plane. You have learned to override the biological alarms that keep you small. You are now calm. You are now efficient. You are now silent. You are now in control of your own vessel. But there is one final chain holding you back. It is the strongest chain of all. It is not internal, it is external. It is the addiction to the opinions of others. You have mastered yourself, but you are still performing for an audience. You are still checking the scoreboard to see if they are clapping. As long as you need them to clap, you are their slave. It is time to cut the strings.
Chapter 8. The Cost of Validation. The Beggar Kings. You are walking around with a cup in your hand, begging for coins. You might be wearing a suit. You might have $1 million in the bank. You might be the CEO of a company. But if you are still looking for other people to tell you that you are good, you are a beggar. You are addicted to validation. You are addicted to the nod of approval. You are addicted to the applause. And just like any other addiction, this one is destroying your ability to function. When you seek validation, you are making a transaction. You are saying, I do not trust my own judgment. I do not know my own value. Please tell me what I am worth. In that moment, you have sold your sovereignty. You have handed the keys to your self-esteem to a stranger, or a parent, or a faceless audience on the internet. Approval is a debt. Every time you accept a compliment that you needed to hear, you are taking out a loan. You feel good for a moment. You feel high. But now you owe the lender. You are beholden to them. You must keep acting in a way that pleases them to keep the loans coming. If you build your empire on the foundation of other people's praise, you are building on sand. When the praise stops, and it always stops, the castle collapses. You have a choice. You can be a king in your own mind, or you can be a servant in theirs. You cannot be both. The social media slavery. Let's look at the machinery of this slavery. Let's look at the device in your pocket. We have created a global infrastructure designed to monetize your insecurity. It is called social media. You post a picture of your workout. You post a picture of your dinner. You post a quote about hustle. And then you wait. Be honest with me. You wait. You check the phone 2 minutes later. No likes yet. You feel a twinge of anxiety. 5 minutes later, 3 likes. You feel a tiny hit of dopamine. An hour later, 20 likes. You feel safe. What are you doing? You are outsourcing your reality. You are asking the crowd to validate your existence. This waiting loop is the killer of greatness. You cannot do deep, meaningful work if a part of your brain is constantly scanning for feedback. You cannot enter the zero-point state if you are tethered to the opinions of the mob. Approval is a debt. When you post for validation, you are not creating content, you are begging for attention. The zero-point operator uses social media as a tool for distribution, not a tool for therapy. They post and they walk away. They do not check the likes. They do not read the comments. They do not care. They know that the like button is a digital pacifier for adults who never grew up. That's the key. If you need the audience to clap, you will inevitably start performing the act they want to see, rather than the act you were born to perform. You become a parody of yourself. The poison of praise. You know that criticism can hurt you, but you are blind to the fact that praise is even more dangerous. Praise is a drug. It feels good. It makes you feel seen. You're so smart. You're so talented. You're the best. If you let that in, if you let that praise touch your soul, you are finished. Why? Because if you believe them when they call you a genius, you are contractually obligated to believe them when they call you an idiot. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot accept the positive judgment without validating the authority of the judge. If their opinion matters when it is good, it matters when it is bad. The zero-point state is immune to both. When someone tells the zero-point master, "You are incredible," he hears, "This person is pleased because I served their interests." When someone tells him, "You are terrible," he hears, "This person is displeased because I did not serve their interests." It is just data. It is not a definition of his worth. He does not get high on the praise. He does not crash on the criticism. He stays at zero. Approval is a debt, and he refuses to borrow. The internal scorecard. So, if you ignore the crowd, how do you know if you are winning? You must build an internal scorecard. Most people operate on an external scorecard. Did I get the promotion? Did I get the award? Did my parents say they are proud? This is a recipe for instability.
The internal scorecard is a set of standards that you define. Did I execute the protocol? Did I maintain my discipline? Did I give 100% effort? Did I act with integrity? If the answer to these questions is yes, then you have won. It does not matter if the world boos you. It does not matter if you lost money. It does not matter if you were fired. It's not about the applause. It's about the alignment. If you are aligned with your own code, you are untouchable. Imagine an athlete who plays a perfect game technically, perfect form, perfect strategy, perfect effort, but loses the match because of a bad referee call. The external scorecard says, "You lost. You are a failure." The internal scorecard says, "I executed perfectly. I am satisfied." The zero-point operator sleeps like a baby because he answers only to himself. The silent win. Here is your instruction for transformation. I want you to practice the silent win. For the next 30 days, when you achieve something, when you hit a personal record in the gym, when you close a deal, when you have a breakthrough idea, you are forbidden from telling anyone. Do not text your best friend. Do not call your spouse. Do not post it. Keep it entirely to yourself. Feel the urge to share it? That urge is your ego begging for a treat. Starve the ego. Hold the win inside. Let it sit there. At first, it will feel empty. You will think, if no one knows I did this, did it really happen? Yes, it happened. And the fact that you can hold it without leaking it proves that you did it for you, not for them. This builds a massive reservoir of internal power. You become a person who does not need witnesses to be great. You don't need their permission to be successful. You don't need their permission to be happy. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who has a pocket full of victories that he hasn't told anyone about. He doesn't need to brag. He knows who he is.
The cost of compliance. When you seek validation, you inevitably drift toward mediocrity. Why? Because the crowd is average. The crowd loves the status quo. If you ask the crowd for approval, they will only give it to you if you act like them. Don't take that risk, it's dangerous. Don't work so hard, you'll burn out. Why can't you just be normal? If you listen to them, you will become them. Innovation is never validated in the beginning. Greatness is never applauded at the start. Every great leader, every great artist, every great entrepreneur was ignored or ridiculed before they were celebrated. If they had stopped to ask for validation, they would have quit. You have a choice. You can fit in and be patted on the head, or you can stand out and be misunderstood. The zero-point operator is comfortable being misunderstood. In fact, he expects it. He knows that if everyone agrees with him, he is probably doing something wrong. Approval is a debt. Do not mortgage your potential to buy their comfort. The final severance. It is time to cut the cord. Stop asking, "Do I look okay?" Stop asking, "Was that presentation good?" Stop asking, "Am I on the right track?" Look at the data. Look at your results. Look at your internal scorecard. If the results are there, you are good. If the results are not there, adjust. You do not need a cheerleader. You need a strategy. Be your own father. Be your own boss. Be your own judge. The moment you stop caring what they think is the moment you become dangerous. The moment you stop looking for the applause is the moment you can finally hear your own thoughts. Closing transition. You have reclaimed your mind. You have stopped the emotional leaks. You have stopped the narrative. You have stopped the begging. Your internal world is now a fortress. It is sealed. It is secure. It is at zero. But you cannot live in a fortress if you are surrounded by a swamp. Your internal state is powerful, but your external environment is constantly attacking it. The noise, the clutter, the notifications, the mess, it is all designed to drag you back into chaos. You have fixed the software. Now we must rebuild the hardware. We must design a physical reality that makes failure impossible.
Chapter 9. Sanitize your environment. The architecture of chaos. Look around you right now. Look at your desk. Look at your room. Look at your car. Look at the desktop on your computer. What do you see? If you see piles of paper, unwashed coffee cups, tangles of cables, and a screen full of random icons, I can tell you exactly what your mind looks like. Your mind looks exactly like your room. It is cluttered. It is noisy. It is inefficient. You believe that you can have a chaotic environment and a clear mind. You tell yourself the lie of the creative genius. You say, "I know where everything is." You say, "A messy desk is a sign of intelligence." Stop lying. Your space is your mind. You cannot operate at 0 point in a war zone of trash. Every object in your peripheral vision is a tax on your attention. Every piece of clutter is a subconscious signal of unfinished business. When you sit down to work in a messy room, your brain is constantly processing the mess. I need to file that. I need to wash that. I need to fix that. You are running background applications that drain your battery before you even open your mouth to speak. You have a choice. You can live in a museum of your own procrastination, or you can live in a cockpit designed for speed. The cognitive cost of clutter. Let's break down the science of attention. Your brain is a processing unit with limited RAM. Every visual stimulus in your field of view requires energy to process. Even if you aren't looking at the stack of unpaid bills on the corner of your desk, your brain sees them. Your brain identifies them. Your brain registers the stress associated with them, and then your brain tries to suppress that stress so you can focus on your email. This suppression costs energy. It is a micro-leak. If you have 50 items on your desk, you have 50 micro-leaks. You're trying to solve a complex problem while 50 tiny voices are screaming for your attention. No wonder you're exhausted by 2 p.m. No wonder you have brain fog. That's the key. You don't have brain fog. You have visual pollution. The zero-point operator treats their environment as an external hard drive. If the data isn't needed for the current task, it is deleted or stored out of sight. Your space is your mind. If the space is clean, the mind is silent. If the mind is silent, the execution is flawless. The military standard. Let's look at the people who handle life and death stress for a living. Let's look at an elite military command center or the bridge of a nuclear submarine. Do you see piles of laundry? Do you see sticky notes plastered everywhere? Do you see half-eaten sandwiches? No. You see bare metal. You see clean screens. You see absolute clinical order. Why? Is it because they're obsessed with interior design? No. It is because in a crisis, clarity is survival. If a commander needs to locate a specific coordinate to launch a strike, he cannot be digging through a pile of magazines to find the map. If a pilot needs to flip a switch to save the plane, that switch cannot be covered by a candy wrapper. It's not about aesthetics, it's about access. The clean desk policy of high-performance organizations is not about being neat, it is about removing friction. When the environment is sanitized, there is zero friction between the thought and the action. You think pen, and your hand finds the pen without looking. You think file, and the file is there. You think go, and nothing stands in your way. If you have to spend 10 minutes looking for your keys every morning, you have started your day with a defeat. You have signaled to your subconscious that you are not in control of your own domain. Digital sewage. The physical mess is bad, but the digital mess is worse. Unlock your phone. How many red notification badges do you see? 14 unread texts? 2,000 unread emails? 50 app updates? Every single red dot is a stress trigger. It is a visual alarm telling you that you are behind. You carry a device in your pocket that screams you are failing at you 20 times an hour, and you wonder why you have anxiety. Your space is your mind, and your digital space is a sewer. You subscribe to newsletters you never read. You follow people who make you angry. You have apps you haven't opened in 2 years. You are hoarding digital garbage. The zero-point protocol for digital hygiene is ruthless. Turn off all non-human notifications. If it is not a text or a call from a real human being, it does not get to buzz your phone. No news alerts, no social media likes, no game updates. Silence them. The one-screen rule. Your home screen should have only the 4 tools you use to execute your mission. Everything else goes in a folder on the second page, or better yet, delete it. Inbox 0. An email is a task. Do it, delegate it, or delete it. Leaving it in the inbox is like leaving your mail on the floor of the hallway. It is a tripping hazard. You don't need their permission to unsubscribe. You don't need their permission to be unreachable. You are not a 24-hour convenience store. You are a fortress. Pull up the drawbridge. The sentimental trap. Why is this so hard? Why do you cling to the mess? Because you are sentimental. You keep the ticket stub from the movie you saw 5 years ago. You keep the broken watch because your uncle gave it to you. You keep the books you will never read because they make you look smart. You are attaching your identity to dead objects. That's the key. You are afraid that if you throw the object away, you will lose the memory. You are afraid that if you clear the shelf, you will be empty. This is weakness. The zero-point operator knows that memories live in the neurons, not in the plastic. You do not need the physical anchor to know who you are. The past is heavy. It gathers dust. It takes up space that should be reserved for the future. If an object does not serve a function today, and if it does not bring you immense beauty today, it is a parasite. It is living rent-free in your war room. Evict it. The sanitization protocol.
Here is your instruction. You are going to perform a sanitization strike. Go to your primary workspace, take everything, and I mean everything, off the desk, put it in a box on the floor. Clean the surface until it shines. Now sit down. Only put back the items that you are going to use in the next 48 hours. The laptop, the mouse, the notebook, the pen. That's it. Everything else stays in the box. The stapler you use once a month, leave it in the box. The picture frame, leave it in the box. The stack of business cards, leave it in the box. Work like this for 2 days. Feel the difference. Feel the echo in the room. That empty space is not empty. It is filled with potential. It is filled with focus. Your space is your mind. When the desk is empty, the mind is free to fill the void with strategy. The visual field. You must also curate your visual inputs. What do you look at when you look up from your work? Do you see a wall of inspiration, or do you see a crack in the plaster and a pile of laundry? Your environment is constantly programming you. If you look at chaos, you are programmed for chaos. If you look at excellence, you are programmed for excellence. Design your line of sight. When you sit in your command chair, position yourself so that your eyes land on something that signals order and power. A blank white wall is better than a messy bookshelf. A window with a view is better than a television. Control the input to control the output. The discipline of reset. This is not a one-time event. This is a lifestyle. The amateur cleans their room once a month when it becomes unbearable. The professional resets the room every single time they leave it. This is the reset to zero rule. When you finish your work for the day, you do not stand up and walk away. You take 3 minutes to reset the environment to its neutral state. You close the tabs, you file the papers, you wash the coffee cup, you push the chair in. You leave the room exactly as you want to find it the next morning. Imagine walking into your office tomorrow and seeing a pristine, empty desk waiting for you. It pulls you in. It invites you to work. Now imagine walking into a disaster. You recoil. You feel resistance. You want to open your phone to avoid starting. It's not about cleaning. It's about priming. You are priming your future self for success. You are removing the friction before you even start the engine. Closing transition. You have stripped away the emotion. You have stripped away the narrative. You have stripped away the need for validation. And now you have stripped away the physical chaos. You are sitting in a clean room. Your mind is a blank slate. You are at zero. There is nothing left to distract you. There is nothing left to hold you back. There is only the work. But this is the most dangerous moment because now there are no excuses. You cannot blame the mess. You cannot blame the noise. It is just you and the objective. The preparation is over. The philosophy is done. Now you must move. But you must not move with passion. You must not move with desire. You must move with cold, detached, mechanical precision.
Chapter 10. Execution without attachment. The paradox of desire. You want it too bad. That is your problem. You are desperate. You are thirsty. You are looking at the prize with such intensity that you are blinding yourself to the process required to get it. You think that wanting it more is the secret. You think that if you visualize the result hard enough, if you pray for it, if you obsess over it, the universe will hand it to you. You are wrong. Desperation is a repellent. Desperation makes your hands shake. Desperation makes your voice crack. Desperation makes you sloppy. The 0-point state is the total removal of wanting. It is the replacement of desire with duty. You must reach a state where you do not care if you win or lose. You must reach a state where the outcome is irrelevant. There is only the action. There is only the mechanics. There is only the execution. The work is the win. This is the final paradox of high performance. To get what you want, you must stop caring if you get it. When you are attached to the outcome, you are operating from fear. You are afraid of not getting the prize. You are afraid of wasting your time. You are afraid of looking like a fool. This fear introduces hesitation.
But when you detach, when you say, I will execute this action perfectly regardless of what happens next, you become terrifying. You become a force of nature. You have nothing to lose, so you hold nothing back. You have a choice. You can be a desperate amateur praying for a result, or you can be a cold professional executing a protocol. The archer's discipline. Let's look at the master archer. The amateur archer stares at the target. He obsesses over the bullseye. He thinks, I have to hit the center. If I miss, I lose the tournament. His focus is downrange. His focus is on the future. Because he is looking at the target, he forgets his form. His shoulder rises, his grip tightens. He rushes the release. He misses. Now, look at the master archer. The master archer knows where the target is. He glanced at it once. Now he ignores it. He brings his entire consciousness back to his body. He focuses on his feet. Are they planted? He focuses on his breath. Is it steady? He focuses on the string against his fingers. Is the tension perfect? He does not care about the bullseye. He cares about the release. He knows that if the mechanics are perfect, the physics will take care of the rest. The arrow has no choice but to hit the center. The work is the win. If he releases perfectly and a gust of wind blows the arrow off course, he does not get angry. He does not cry. He knows he won. He won because his execution was flawless. The wind is just a variable he couldn't control. That's the key. You're judging yourself on the landing. You should be judging yourself on the launch. You cannot control the landing. You cannot control the market. You cannot control the client. You can only control the launch. The scoreboard is for the audience. Stop looking at the scoreboard. The scoreboard is for the fans. The scoreboard is for the critics. The scoreboard is for the people sitting in the cheap seats eating popcorn. You are not in the arena. You are in the play. When a player looks at the scoreboard, he stops playing the game. He starts playing the math. He starts playing defense. He starts trying to protect the lead or desperately catch up. He leaves the 0 point. He enters the narrative. The 0 point operator plays every single second of the game as if the score were 0-0. If he is up by 50 points, he plays like it's 0-0. If he is down by 50 points, he plays like it's 0-0. Why? Because the score is irrelevant to the execution. The correct move is the correct move regardless of the score. The work is the win. If you make a sales call and you do it perfectly, you follow the script, you handle the objections, you hold the frame, and the prospect still says no, you did not lose. You won. You executed the protocol. The no is just data. If you make a terrible sales call, you stutter, you beg, you break frame, and the prospect says yes out of pity, you did not win. You lost. You got lucky. And luck is not a strategy. Luck is a drug that will eventually kill you. It's not about the prize. It's about the practice. The danger of goal setting. We live in a culture obsessed with goals. Set a goal to make $1 million. Set a goal to lose 20 pounds. Goals are fine for direction, but they are poison for daily execution. A goal places your happiness in the future. It says, I am not good enough now, but I will be good enough when I get the result.
This creates a permanent state of dissatisfaction. You are always chasing. You are never arriving. The zero-point mind replaces goals with standards. A goal is, I want to write a book. A standard is, I write 500 words every morning at 6 a.m. no matter what. The goal is external. The standard is internal. The goal relies on hope. The standard relies on discipline. The work is the win. When you hit your standard, you have won the day. It doesn't matter if the writing is bad. It doesn't matter if no one buys the book. You held the line. You maintained the standard. You don't need their permission to call yourself a winner. You validate yourself through your own consistency. The casino of life. Imagine you are at a casino. You go to the roulette table. You put your chips on red. The wheel spins. The ball lands on black. You lose your money. The amateur screams, "This is unfair. I needed that money." The zero-point operator shrugs. He knows that life is a game of probabilities. You can make the right bet and still lose. You can make the wrong bet and still win. If you attach your emotional state to the spin of the wheel, you are a slave to randomness. But if you attach your pride to the strategy of the bet, if you say, I bet on red because the math favored red, then you are always safe. You must fall in love with the bet, not the payout. Fall in love with the sales process, not the commission check. Fall in love with the workout, not the mirror. Fall in love with the coding, not the IPO. The work is the win. When you stop needing the payout, a strange thing happens. The payouts start coming. Why? Because you were consistent, because you were calm, because you were playing the long game while everyone else is trying to get rich quick. The market smells desperation. The market punishes neediness. The market rewards detachment. The zero-point execution. So, how do you work without attachment? You view yourself as a contractor hired by your own life. When a plumber comes to fix your toilet, does he cry if the toilet is stubborn? No. Does he jump for joy when the water flushes? No. He is a professional. He assesses the problem, he applies the tool, he finishes the job, he goes home. He is not attached to the toilet. He is attached to his craftsmanship. Be the plumber of your own empire. Do the work, do it well, do it aggressively, do it with violence of action. But when the day is done, wipe your hands and walk away. Do not carry the work home. Do not carry the result in your heart. If you succeed, good. Reset to zero. If you fail, good. Reset to zero. You don't need their permission to detach. They will call you cold. They will say you don't care. Let them. They are burning out. You are just warming up. The final liberation. This is the ultimate freedom. When you no longer need the world to give you anything, you can take everything. You are no longer begging for results. You are demanding excellence from yourself, and excellence is the only currency that matters. If you can wake up every day, execute your mission with 100% intensity, and go to sleep completely indifferent to the applause, you are invincible. You have reached the zero-point state. The world cannot hurt you because you want nothing from it. The market cannot break you because you are not betting on it. You are betting on yourself. The work is the win. The work is the win. The work is the win. Say it until it is the only truth you know. Closing transition. You have the tools, you have the mindset, you have the discipline. You have walked the path from the lie of emotional intelligence to the truth of execution. You have burned the narrative, you have silenced the noise, you have killed the ego. There is nothing left to learn. There is only one thing left to do. The time for thinking is over. The time for listening is over. It is time to issue the final command. The zero-point state is waiting for you, but you must claim it. Stand by for the closing directive.
You now have the blueprint. The zero-point state is no longer a theory. It is your new standard of existence. From this moment on, you do not react. You do not hope. You do not worry. You are the calm center of the storm.
When the world screams, you observe. When your ego demands attention, you starve it. When a crisis hits, you find the 0 point and you strike with the cold precision of a machine. This isn't about being happy. It's about being effective. It's about being untouchable. If you are still looking for a sign to change, this is it. Close this audio. Put down your phone. Go into your world and act from 0. No excuses, no emotions, just results. Do it now.